It's pop, by the way.
Actually, I'm fairly certain it's Coke.
I'm fairly certain you're a bitch!
Nice. Sam wins that one.
I'm fairly certain.
Anyway, Arrietty.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Anime Summit Podcast, where our opinions matter and everybody else's don't. Anyways, I'm Mac, and with me I've got Sam.
Hello, bitches.
And then I've got some dumbass dick boner Nick.
Ooh-wee.
Who's just going to, I guess he's going to use the soundboard. And then, I don't know, some faggot crawled out of the woodwork and joined us. His name happens to be Quokka.
Hi guys, I'm back.
That was
No,
a
he's
terrible
not. Don't
intro
listen
for
to him.
Quokka.
Don't listen to him.
All my friends have stopped listening.
I mean,
You're
he
not
did
sales.
crawl out of the woodwork. I mean, he did.
Just like Arrietty.
I mean, I'm not.
I'm reporting.
I wasn't gonna
live
hype him
from.
up.
Quokka, really quick.
Yeah.
Glad you're back, handsome. What did you do today in Korea? Real quick.
What did I do?
20 minutes or less.
I woke up. I made some ramen and drank some orange Gina and watched anime.
Wait, what time is it
Somebody's
there?
echoing.
Nobody's echoing.
Am I getting feedback to myself?
You probably are.
You might be.
Probably. Wait, what time is it in Korea?
It is
Tree fitty.
1 p.m.
It is about tree fitty. There's a lot of sound
Okay.
bleeding over from your track, Quokka. I hate you.
That's why I wasn't talking. I was hoping you were just gonna go do something else while there was noise, and instead of listen to me.
Oh,
'Cause
Quokka's gonna
I'm
make
doing
my
the,
life shit.
You've been
Quokka's
here
gonna
5
make my
minutes and
life
you're just fucking everything up. You're fucking
He
her
is,
up.
he
Oh,
is.
it's Christmas.
God damn it!
Hey, I don't have my nice setup. I don't have my pop filters. I don't have my
Oh, that's not pop
isolation
filter.
mount.
That's bleed over from
pop
somebody in
filter.
the
Oh,
background.
my
Well,
name's
that's just
Quokka.
because there's just somebody else in the
Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
So there might be later, I guess, we might do a little talk where I just talk about life in Korea and stuff. But I am in Seoul, South Korea.
Your soul
in
isn't
Hongdae.
soul.
No,
And,
his soul is in his
it's
dick,
fun.
which is in soul, because he's a sex pat.
Stupid.
Little inside
my
Discord
God.
joke there. Anyway, we should move on to
Oh, shit.
news.
Oh, shit.
Do you have any other questions about Korea first before we move
Oh
on?
yeah,
No?
what's your favorite
Small,
kimchi?
simple things. Kimchi. Kimchi is my favorite kimchi.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is the pride of all Korea.
Have you found any nice tight stomach lolies? Lolies. Have you found?
Not actual lolies. Tight stomachs, yes.
Fucking tight stomachs.
Quokka doesn't need a washing machine because he uses tight-stomached lolies
Wash
to
board.
wash clothing. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So today on the show, we are doing Ghibli part.
Whatever.
What part is it?
6, I think.
It's
We're doing. It's the
Ghibli-
second to last.
It's
the second to last.
It's giblets part whatever. Who gives a damn?
So,
part X plus 1.
So today we will be covering 2010's Arrietty, 2011's From Up on a Poppy Hill,
You mean
and
Are You a
2013's
Yeti?
The Wind Rises. And
The Secret Life of Arrietty.
So
Are you a
let's-
Yeti?
so let's
Kahigurashi no Arrietty.
let's get into the
I thought you were gonna say Higurashi no Neko Koro ni. All right, news. We got. So there's a new Studio Ghibli president. Kind of exciting. There's not. This is a little bit of a slow news week, but former Ghibli museum director Kiyofumi Nakajima was appointed as the president of Studio Ghibli on Tuesday, and we're recording this on Wednesday, November 29th. So that's our point of reference. And basically, this guy is going to be new president. Miyazaki is making his final film, which will be done in roughly 3 or 4 years.
I mean, I don't know. He may pull a Brett Favre and come back again.
He's done it already. He's done that before already.
I know.
The
That's
Wind
what I'm saying. He
Rises
may
was-
pull a Brett
His
Favre and come back
final-
again.
Final film.
I mean, what about his third final film?
I don't know.
His
dude.
final fantasy, if you will.
This will not be the last Ghibli movie. In parentheses.
It won't be the last Ghibli, but it'll be the last.
But yeah, the
Miyazaki
the
film.
new president was the former chairperson of Ultra Disney Japan, and he joined Ghibli in 2008. So he's got Disney experience. Ghibli, you know, they're going to
Ghibli.
be doing some more shit. They're gonna run until they drop. That's Ghibli.
I
So
like
that's
it.
pretty much the news for that.
I like it.
And what we got after that is Spice and Wolf manga ends December 27th. We talked about Spice and Wolf the other week, and it is a very popular manga, well, light novel slash manga slash anime that everyone should watch, including Sam, who hasn't
Including
finished season
some,
2 yet.
because Spice and Wolf is the best.
I don't know, how does Sam not? This is baffling that Sam doesn't like Spice and Wolf.
I would agree.
It
with
has
this.
furries.
This.
Shut the fuck up.
That's rather superficial.
Maybe she's not furry enough. I think that's the problem.
She's not a bear.
Yeah, she needs to be a bear.
She needs.
Polo
She needs to be a bear
best, though.
that's in a village and looks after a girl named Machi.
Not enough mindfuck, if you ask me.
Done. Dunyans. I'm Dunyans.
And her name needs to be Natsu.
Natsu's Book of Friends.
Natsu means summer.
No, it does not, Sue. Ha 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 ha. All right, moving on to the next piece of news before I drive this podcast into the dirt. My Hero Academia
God.
Season 3 is going to premiere in spring 2018. That's kind of following the
I need to
trajectory.
watch
It's-
that shit.
It's got one season every year, which is a good way to do a shonen instead of doing like Dragon Ball Super does it differently. They kind of do it every 2 weeks or every week? Something like that. Sam knows, right?
I heard the first half of season
Yes.
2 of Boku no Hero was fantastic.
Oh yeah, season 2 is great. It had a tournament arc. It had the was it a Stain, the like anti-villain guy. It was great. So if you haven't seen My Hero Academia, check it out. Season 3 is coming out. It's fucking awesome. Great animation by Studio Bones.
Bones.
And then
Bones.
speaking of great
And then he
animation,
knew the bones were broken.
Made
He
in
knew the bones
Abyss
were broken.
is getting a sequel, and we don't know for sure if it's a
Direct
TV
sequel.
anime or if it's like a movie or OAV, but it's a sequel, so that's
a
happening.
direct sequel?
I believe so. Yes, sequel.
Direct
What do you mean?
sequel?
What do you mean by direct sequel?
Like
TV?
it's a continuation of the same story as opposed to another story that takes place in the same world.
Well, that would be a side story then.
No, they still could call it a sequel.
Well, the announcement says it is a sequel, and we don't have really further details at this point, but
Okie dokie.
very great anime that aired on Anime Strike, so perhaps that affected its popularity, but probably one of the best anime of last season. Well, most people would say it's the best of last season. If you haven't seen that, check it out. And that's mostly it for the news this week. A little bit of a slow week. But
I have news.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I thought you were going to...
Like, fucking say it. Jesus Christ. Like,
I'm gonna be in a Korean movie.
oh, yeah, that's right. You told
Oh,
us that.
shit.
Yeah, I have actually shortly after this podcast, I have to go take a bus like 2 hours to the east side of Korea because we're doing filming tomorrow.
I can't wait to watch
I'm
it.
just an extra.
It's going to be like this. Like, you're just going to be there for a second.
I'm just an extra, but it's the start of what could be
It's
an
the start of my
amazing
career.
Korean film career.
Are you the...
Next thing we know, we're
you
gonna
the
get a
servant
message
boy?
from Korea that he's a new up and coming star, and he's surrounded by all the tight stomachs he could ever want.
Like fucking like
The-
Conan
the pay is
O'Brien.
decent.
He had a small part in that one show. That matchmaking show.
Yeah, so they're like paying for food and accommodation over there,
Yeah, it's legit.
and I get paid like $200 to basically sit around most of the day, and then
and then be in the.
Get dressed up for filming a little bit.
So where's the part where you gotta get groped by the director?
That was actually
'Cause as
3
we
months
know,
ago.
in
That
Hollywood,
was
like,
actually
Oh.
last Tuesday.
Weinstein is he moved to Korea now. He's an expat. He's a real sexpat. So
Yeah, dude, fuck that dude. Anyway.
well, a lot of
Yeah,
people
and then
did.
I
So
think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna.
shut the fuck up, dude.
oh boy, that was dark. All right.
And then when I get back to Seoul, I'm gonna meet up with the girl I've been seeing for a little bit, and I think we're gonna make it official.
So what you're telling me is you're gonna stick your dick inside her.
Jesus Christ, you
I mean,
guys. Oh
Who
my
knows?
God.
That's not the specific part that I'm talking about. That will probably happen
I mean, you said it was gonna be official.
at some point.
What is with all this fuckboy talk? Okay, shut up. Move on.
Yeah, the relationship official.
God.
In other news,
So
Nick is
then
still
you
getting
do it.
ghosted on Tinder. So all is normal on the Nick,
Nick
front.
is-
I wonder why.
Any single ladies
Hey, I'm
that
not
like
messing
bad
up.
memes
They can
out
just
there,
sense. They can sense through
contact
the. They can sense through the nether world that the internet that I suck. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. We got waifu of the week. My only solace in this cold, cold world.
I
we
picked
chose. Well, Quokka picked it. Arrietty.
Are
it.
you a
Yeah,
Yeti?
she's the smallest.
From Arrietty, or The Borrower Arrietty, the film that we're going to be talking about, Foist.
It's not the well, yeah, she's a borrower.
You got to
She's a
pronounce
tiny
it
person.
borrower. How do you think Danny would
Borrower.
pronounce it? Would she pronounce it borrow?
Cinematography.
Okay, does this bother... really quick. Yeah, cinematography. Shout out to that Danny.
She's never gonna live that down.
Okay, does this bother anybody that I do this? Okay, real talk. I always
Yes.
say... Okay, so, like, let's say I'm lending Nick a DVD or an anime or a movie or a book or whatever.
Thanks.
I always tell
That's
people,
what I
oh,
say.
yeah, I borrowed it to Nick.
That's close enough. No
People
one cares.
people
That's
get
fine.
mad at me for that. They're like, it's not... You lent it to him. He borrowed it. And it's like, why does it matter? Like, you know what I mean?
To be
Like,
fair, if you said that around me, I'd have been like, "The fuck did you just say?"
man, shut up. Okay, fuck you. Moving on. Y'all stupid. It's pop, by the way. Idiot.
Actually, I'm fairly certain it's Coke.
I'm fairly certain you're a bitch.
Nice. Sam wins that one.
I'm fairly certain.
Anyway,
that-
Arrietty.
Hey, you guys, I'm going home.
So,
So anyway,
as we know, Arrietty is the ultimate lolly because she's fucking tiny.
Jesus Christ,
And that's why Quokka
dude.
picked her,
What is
dude.
with you? God. Shut the fuck
I mean, it's been a while since we could really
Quokka,
dish
like-
out these lolly jokes. So I mean,
We've seen the.
That's true.
You guys have all seen Deadpool, right? Where he gets the baby hand, and he's like, "It feels so big in my baby."
He's like, I bet it feels big in this hand. Shh.
That's what.
Go, 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 go.
Just imagine Arrietty. You know.
So who wants to
Take it
talk
away.
about this one?
So we're starting the main topic. Arrietty, the first of the 3 Ghibli.
So this was
films.
2010. It was directed by Hiromasa Yonebayashi and screenwritten by Miyazaki and Keiko Niwa. And Toshio Suzuki once again is the producer. So who wants to talk about this one?
penis.
Well, I can give like a real basic summary.
Yeah, no, the basic is
It's pretty much, this one is the simplest of the 3 films as far as the plot. Basically what happens is Arrietty lives with her family. They're a bunch of very, very tiny people, Lilliputians, like Gulliver's Travel style. I know this is based. What is this based off of?
It is based off the children's fantasy novel *The Borrowers* by Mary Norton, who is an English
was
author.
that based off of Gulliver's Travels? I don't know. Either way,
No,
I'm sure they borrowed from each other. I'm sure one of them took from the other. In any case, so Arrietty's family is living next to this house where a sick boy finds Arrietty, and they, his mother's caretaker lady, she finds the family as well, and they figure out that they have to move, and that's the whole point. Is like they're trying to survive in this world as borrowers. They're little tiny people that borrow things that the giant people aren't going to miss, and they're just basically trying to survive, and that's pretty much the movie. And well, there's a bunch of like minor themes going throughout it as well, but that's the basic plot. And eventually, at the end of the movie, they do have to move.
So really quick too, the whole thing about being a borrower, the borrowers, is they're really tiny people and they live in the walls of this house, and they when they need something from the house they go and borrow it, but then they go put it back. So that's like the whole thing. Except
for the like the dollhouse, like tea kettles and stuff.
Yeah.
That Arrietty's mother steals.
Yeah.
She hoards.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you guys think? What were your impressions of Arrietty?
I just really want to quickly say, like, out of the three, this was the one that I was the most excited for, because I love The Borrowers, because I remember watching, like, the 1997 film with John Goodman and Tom Felton, by the way, when he was a kid. And I thought that movie was great. So I thought, like, oh, cool, this is another adaptation of something that I thought was cool as a kid. And it kind of was, like, it was okay. It was kind of, like...
There wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
I'd say the biggest theme for me was the boy being sick, and like he had a heart condition, and he wasn't sure if he was gonna make it.
Yeah,
he had to have surgery later on. Yeah, that was pretty. That was actually kind of sad, and that was my favorite part of the movie. But and then like I forgot what he was saying to Arrietty, but basically they're like wishing each other well, and like she gives him a token, her hair clip to remember him by, and like I think we don't actually know that he like survives the surgery, but it's not really, it's kind of a mystery, but that was like the big theme. Other than that, it's like them just surviving. So
well, no, because the thing about the Disney version, the dub version, is that it contains a final monologue that's not in the other versions. And
okay.
And yeah, so he did. But it was dubbed twice. It was dubbed in the UK by Studio Canal in 2011 and Disney in 2012.
That's the Disney version, though. Disney always, like, sugarcoats everything, Like, they took The Little Mermaid and made it, like, a happy ending.
Right, I know.
Stuff like that, so.
But Tom Holland actually did show in the UK version, which is kind of cool. But yeah, no, I don't know. It just like, I think I agree with Nick. That was probably where I was like, oh man, this should have been like a bigger part of it. Like, I don't know. I kind of wish that there was more of a threat, I think.
Well, also like the old, Hara? Like her motivation's not explained. It's just like nonsensical.
The old lady who traps the Arrietty.
Like she was made a villain for the sake of having a villain.
Yeah.
Well, she was trying to prove that little people were living in the walls, because she always
always
finding things missing.
But there's still kind of a thing. It's like, why would you bring pest control involved in that motivation? And why would you like want to capture them in that kind of a way?
To prove that she's not crazy. I mean, that was
by
pretty much
being crazy.
Yeah, and then they escaped. Then she looked even more crazy. So, let's see. Yeah, I mean, Mac,
so
do
cool.
you have any
this
thoughts?
Is so
about
interesting.
I really like the animation. It was neat to watch, like, her picking up the sugar cube with the ants on it and like brushing everything off, and they're like traveling around the house. And she uses like a leaf to protect her from the rain and all that, and that was neat.
Through the whole time I was just like, I want to see more of like how they do things. Like I just want to see more of their life.
Yeah, like that's a big part of it too. Like I wanted to see more of how they operate in the house and how they borrow more stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It almost kind of felt like in that sense it was a little all over the place. It became boring because of it. It was just like, I don't know if I want to watch this. I don't know if I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's like the world was cool. Actual story, really dumb.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I really wanted to like it, but I don't know. Because I'm a fan of the more, like, children, like the ones that are, the Ghibli movies that are geared more towards younger audiences. I'm a fan of those. I'm a big fan of those.
Towards those wee babes.
I'm a big Disney fan.
I think I made notes on this one. So, yeah, As far as the borrowers go, I guess the other theme is that they're kind of a dwindling population, and they're kind of a little bit isolated from each other. They don't really know what's going on, and I guess that kind of, to me, that mirrors Japan. Japan's population is very old right now, and there's not enough kids, and maybe Arrietty is kind of like a metaphor for that. But that's looking a little deep on it. I don't know. That's kind of a stretch.
I would take it more as in line with other Miyazaki films that have to do with like the destruction of nature caused by human development.
Yeah, well, yeah, and what
that
happened?
It was more taking an animal that has learned to depend on humans in a certain way, but then killing them off through development.
Kind of like Pompoko, I guess.
But just having them as a human that's small as opposed to an animal, so it makes them less other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because
That makes
what
way more
happens
sense
is
than your stupid theory.
the borrowers. Hey, my theory is it's a stretch,
Straight up.
but it still works. But it makes sense because like they took too much. Like they got noticed, and they made themselves inconvenient to the humans. So they the humans started to get rid of them, and yeah. But actually, one thing I liked about the movie was the CG. It was kind of this slow motion movement. Whenever you're in the perspective of the borrowers, the large people always moved in slow motion. I thought that was really cool. Kind of like Attack on Titan. You guys notice that?
I want to see the borrowers wearing 3D maneuver gear, and then just slicing the throat of like some random human.
What?
They're in.
What was weird is when he like went into the house to put in the new kitchen, he like didn't. He could see the mother, but just didn't say anything to her.
Yeah, like
well,
why didn't why didn't he approach her like?
Be like, hey, here's a new kitchen. Do you want this?
Because
new
he
kitchen?
knew that she was worst girl.
Mama.
Just killed a man.
That's. I would say my biggest complaint though with the movie is the mother. She was too materialistic to me, and it was like, just kind of gross. I know she's just trying to survive and all that, but it's like, man, you're hoarding these doll pieces, and you're always like panicking, and like, what has she got going on, right?
Right.
She just seemed kind of greedy.
Well, I
to
think
me,
she
and it
probably
was
just
like,
was like that because, borrowing is like their whole thing, and she probably,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I guess I can't
Arrietty
really-
and
I don't
her
really-
father and all them had some other facets to them, and the mother was just like this gathering pack rat lady, and it was
Sure.
like, I just didn't like her as a character.
Yeah. But
She felt very one-dimensional.
I will say that, like Quokka said, I do like the environment in the world, and I do like the character designs, and I thought Arrietty was super cute with her hair clip. That was actually just like a clip,
Yeah, one giant clip.
Yeah, I
They
thought
should make those in
that's
real
super
life.
I
adorable.
wanted.
But yeah, I don't know. I put it kind of on the lower end of my overall list here, I think.
Yeah, and we can get it to that later, like where we're ranking these.
Yeah. I was just
in the pantheon.
I was just concluding
It could
my
have
thought.
been cool as a TV show similar to Made in Abyss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would have been neat. And like someone steps on Arrietty and just squishes her.
The fuck is your problem?
I don't know.
God damn it.
Nobody knows
man.
what Nick's problem is.
He hates women.
Intrusive
Some,
thoughts.
if you haven't
Intrusive
heard.
thoughts.
That's true.
Intrusive thoughts. THOTS. That's what
Thoughts,
Arrietty
yeah.
is. She's an intrusive thought. All right. So yeah, Arrietty. It was okay. Next movie, From Up on Poppy Hill, and this was 2011, 2012. 2011. So
This
does
is
anybody
20
want to introduce From Up on Poppy Hill?
2011. I guess I can. From Up on the Poppy Hill was. This is the second and last one so far. I don't know if Goro Miyazaki is not really big on making these films. But this was the second one he did that he directed. His father, along with Keiko Niwa, also wrote the screenplay. Toshio Suzuki was the producer again. And From Up on a Poppy Hill was based on a Japanese comic of the same name, or I think the original version was called From Coquelicot Hill or whatever. It's a shade of red. I don't. Caca Hill. Caca Hill.
Carrot cake.
Yeah. Carrot cake.
Caca faggot.
Yeah. Oh no! Who are you supposed to be?
Carrot cake.
So
Shout out to Dragon's Ball P.
I'd forgotten about that. Holy shit.
That came out
So
almost the
it's
same
set-
year as this.
it's set in 1963, Yokohama, Japan, and it tells the story of Umi Matsuzaki.
Yokohama.
She's like a high school girl living in a boarding house called Coquelicot Manor, and
Let's just not say that
yeah,
anymore.
Coquelicot Manor. And then she meets a dude named Shun, who's like in the newspaper club, and they decide to clean
He's
up
so
the clubhouse
handsome.
and some other shit. And then it becomes that kind of typical archetype of there's somebody who wants to demolish the building for redeveloping something else, greedy bastards, and blah 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 blah. There's a
Yeah,
poem thing
the
involved.
students are trying to save a historic building.
Well, they're trying to save their clubhouse.
Yeah.
It's their clubhouse, but it's also like preserving history. And they had a little speech in the movie where they're like, we can't forget about history, otherwise
Yeah.
we're screwed.
Yeah.
That's not what he
and
said.
the
I understand
reason
that that's
why
like a-
the reason why
Kinda
she's
like
in
a-
the boarding house too is because her mom's in America. By the way.
Yeah, and
Yes, and her dad
understand, like,
is
the-
dead.
the tone of the film is about like preserving some tradition and stuff in the face of modernization, especially following,
Which I
World War
100%
II
can get
and the Korean
behind.
War.
Like I agree.
But it still kind of always comes across like in those situations that the kids in the clubhouse, they were more just trying to save a place that they felt was theirs, and then maybe latched on to historical value as a
Well, yeah, but that's how you do
means
it.
of convincing others, and not necessarily something that they had cared about first.
You got to spin it in a way that helps you. They're learning how to be adults, politicians. That's why the guy let him do it, because he saw that they were, they're being productive. The president of the company that was about to demolish it. But yeah, from up on Poppy Hill, and then there's also like this romance in the story, and it's between the main girl and the main guy.
Incest story.
But it's technically not. It's like Sword Art Online incest, so it's okay.
Isn't it the reverse of Sword Art Online incest?
I actually don't remember. What in Sword Art Online weren't they like not brother
They
and
were
sister?
not blood related.
Yeah, so these people aren't either. Umi and Shun are not technically. Shun was like adopted because like this takes place after World War II.
After the Korean War.
Or the Korean War, sorry. So after a war and
In the lead up to the 1964 Yokohama Summer Olympics.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Olympics. Like and Japan is trying to like modernize and get all nice and spiffy and like so there's orphans all over from the war. and
I didn't
Shun was an
finish it.
orphan.
Did they find out that they weren't actually blood related?
Yeah, correct. So Shun had been adopted
So they
by
first thought that they were, and then
Yep.
they found out they weren't?
Yeah. And there's like this it's like the typical Ghibli thing of like
That's just
hurry
like,
up, run, we gotta
it's a
find out.
whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah. It's just like your
I love
name,
you.
Coca.
No,
all right?
I can't
it's so
love
much
you.
better.
We can love each other again.
You're my sister. You're my sister.
Well, what?
I liked how they were
Call me
like
Oni-chan.
I liked how they were in love
God.
even when they thought they were brother and sister, and I'm like,
Yeah, like what do we do now? Like, well, we need to stop feeling the way that we feel.
and then she's like, no, we're gonna make retard babies, and you're gonna like it.
Oh my god.
Nick, that is not how genetics works.
Well, enough generations and it'll happen. But anyway, I liked this movie. I liked it a lot better than Arrietty. It wasn't the best Ghibli movie, but like
I definitely
As
enjoyed
far
it
as-
more than Arrietty.
it just it had a nice flow to it. It was an hour and a half, not too long. Arrietty was only an hour and a half, but it felt longer. And there's like, this nice sense of progression because the kids are building their clubhouse. They're learning about their family history. Umi is like, she's the main girl. She's like taking care of her family because her mother's away and her dad's dead. And like, she's joins a newspaper club with Shun, and it's like they're trying to like save the clubhouse, and that's, they eventually do it, and like they do stuff. Things happen in a progressive manner, and I liked that. So yeah, and it also had a good soundtrack. I enjoyed that.
Nice.
So yeah, Mac, any thoughts on this one? Did you only watch The Wind Rises, or?
No.
I liked the flags.
I liked it. I liked it okay. I mean, nothing really specific about it. It was just another Giblets movie to me.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
pretty good.
as many of these as I've been watching for this, they all just kind of, yep, that's Ghibli. Yep, that's
I think
Ghibli.
I said this in the last Ghibli episode. After like Howl's Moving Castle is when these films kind of start going like.
Well, there's exceptions though, because remember we watched When Marnie Was There, and we both really liked that one. That was really good.
Yes.
And
yes.
then
okay.
Princess Kaguya is another Takahata film, and that one's supposed to be like really, really good.
That one I have not seen, so I'm excited for that one.
And then The Wind Rises. I like The Wind Rises, but we'll get to that one anyway.
And Poppy Hill had a weird English cast. They had like
They did. They had
Aubrey
Anton
Plaza.
Yelchin, Isabel Furman,
Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, it was Aubrey Plaza?
Yeah.
I changed halfway through. I watched half dub, half sub. I like the sub a bit better just because Aubrey Plaza's voice didn't quite match, in my opinion. It was okay. I don't know.
Half jub, half sub. Bo Bridges.
Where does it say? Wait, where does it say Aubrey Plaza?
She played.
It was right in the opening credits.
Sachiko. Yeah.
Oh, she was the other character. Okay, never mind. That was fine then. The main girl,
Emily
Umi's
Osmond,
actress, Sarah.
The main
Bolger.
girl was played by Sarah Bolger.
Bolger. I hardly even know her.
They very
Oh
much
my
typecast
God.
Aubrey Plaza
I'm
into
sorry.
the exact same character she always is.
Yeah, the Kudere. She
The
could play
kind of
Rei
slightly-
Ayanami.
No, she's not necessarily like that. She does
She's a cat.
personality, but she's normally played as like an outsider.
Yeah, didn't Aubrey Plaza have a stroke and then it like changed her face?
I don't know. Anyway,
That's what I heard.
Also, did anyone
Anyway.
think it was kind of weird that Umi's little siblings were named Riku and Sora, like from Kingdom Hearts? Did anyone else think that was weird? Anyways.
No, dude, I don't play bad video games, Sam.
Anyway, Riku is voiced by
Yeah, but
Alice
just
the
kidding.
Wolf, who plays Light Turner in the Netflix Death Note, by the way. There you go.
Light Turner.
Light Turner. It means this, God of Death.
The God of Death.
It means light, or it means killer. I don't know.
So, more thoughts on Poppy Hill.
Potato chip. Dude, you know what?
Before we
I
trail
thought
off
I didn't
into
think this one
nothingness.
was. I don't know. I didn't really. It was okay.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a little bit better than Arrietty, right? Actually, I enjoyed this one a lot more than Arrietty,
Excuse
but it
me.
wasn't actually that much better. I just didn't. It was fine. It was all right. It's like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
That is exactly what I was trying to say.
Arrietty, I gave Arrietty like a 5.
And you
but
said
anyway,
it better
like
than I was gonna say it. So yes, that.
yeah, with my stumbling, just like yeah.
But no, like yeah, like but I know what you mean. Like there was something to watch, as opposed to Arrietty, where it was just like like at
Yeah.
the beginning of it, she's going on her first borrower mission, and then some shit happens, and then it kind of trails this way and that way, and I don't know.
Man, the more I think about it, the less I like Arrietty.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Just like,
Holy shit!
Are you
No,
a Yeti?
It was saved though by like the one scene
Excuse
with the
me.
boy. So, if anything, watch that scene of Arrietty and then whatever. Poppy Hill though, yeah, we liked it. I think we got most of our thoughts out. Any final comments on this one, guys?
I also love the environment and design in this one. Also, Goro Miyazaki, if your heart's not in it, dude, just stop. Like, just don't do it.
Just
Well, we
Do
don't
it!
know the. Yeah, he did Earthsea as well, and like apparently there was some production troubles with that one or
Well,
something.
no, it's
I
just
don't
what
know
I'm
the
saying,
details, but-
because if you watch the documentary in the Kingdom of Dreams and Madness,
Oh, we'll talk about that. On the
yeah,
next-
when you just see him in that movie, you're just like, okay, calm down. Anyway, Moving on, moving right along, moving right along. Moving
So the
right
last
along.
film for today is The Wind
This is
Rises.
probably the best one.
Well,
I would
obviously
say
the
it
best
is the
one
best one. Yes.
of the three by far, not close. It's still not the best Ghibli movie, but it was pretty good. It was watchable. It had good themes.
This was written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki himself, and it was said to be
That's why it's better.
It was said to be his last film before he
Until now.
Before he
Yeah,
pulled a
until
Brett
unretired.
Favre.
and also produced by Toshio Suzuki, and this came out in 2013. Excuse me. But yeah.
And what I liked is the subtitle had Hideaki Anno as Jiro.
Evangeline Man.
Evangeline Man.
Yeah, Evangeline Man. It's funny because like this is one of those cases where the Japanese sub, it's like even I can tell it doesn't sound right. I'm like, he sounds way too old.
It did sound a little odd.
I was like, why is this like 20-year-old sound like he's 60?
I mean, that
But
is
he
a good
is
point.
also he is in that documentary, because that documentary
yeah. Well, they're friends.
Yeah, it takes place when they're making The Wind Rises and the Tale of Princess Kaguya. And it was funny because Hayao Miyazaki like calls him and is like, "Hey, you should come do this." He's like, "All right." Like,
Yeah.
It's like I'm too busy jerking it to hentai. Right
but yeah,
now.
we'll talk about that later. But yeah,
It had a good dub as well. I actually like the dub a lot more. It had Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiro.
Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, Martin Short, William H. Macy, Mai Whitman, bunch of people. Jennifer Grey, like what? The girl from
It
Dirty
had
Dancing.
Sasha Grey.
It had a lot of people in it.
Stanley
Lot of people.
Tucci, come on. Elijah Wood was like in it for a little bit.
Wait, Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
All right.
And then Darren Criss from Glee.
So,
he probably
so
had, like, a
before you
one-liner.
before you guys
Anyway.
get your dicks too hard from who was in this movie,
I'm
you know,
already
you should
hard.
probably talk about what this movie is about for people who haven't
Okay,
seen
Matt,
it.
go for it.
Oh
I
yeah, go
believe
for it.
in
You're the one
you.
who hasn't been talking this whole time, guy. You fucking bitch.
I
It's
mean,
about
I
airplanes.
I figured I'd give more room for Quokka to talk because you know he hasn't been here and he's a little bitch. And
Yeah, but
He's
that,
been
I
talking.
don't know what anime is anymore.
I mean, what is?
I don't know what anime is
I mean,
anymore.
Is Shelter even anime? We don't know. We still don't know.
It is anime.
And Quokka's sex-crazed orgies.
And yes,
with
in Korea,
foreigners,
So,
you know.
going
he's
back to
forgotten
the
his
topic,
true path.
The Wind Rises. Okay, this basically is the story of Jiro Horikoshi. God, that word gives me problems. Horikoshi? Is that how you say that? I'm just gonna
Close
roll with
enough.
it. I'm just gonna call him Jiro. So
Yeah, Jiro.
Jiro is he is basically the genius behind designing ultimately the Mitsubishi Zero that was used in World War II. And this anime kind of follows just briefly him as a young boy and him growing up and him kind of going through his life and what he sees and just him coming up with different aircraft designs that ultimately lead to the Mitsubishi A6M Zero. And yeah, it also shows a little bit of romance in there, you know, just all sorts of things. And it has this really dreamy vibe, but it gets kind of a little bit more serious. Actually, not kind of. It does get more serious because he falls in love with a person that unfortunately contracts tuberculosis and dies. And that makes me sad. I mean, come on. That's
The old
so
sick
sad.
girl trope. Dying girl trope.
That is so sad, though, man. I mean, oh.
Yep, and she was the same girl that he saved during the Tokyo fires as well. Because, like, basically the movie goes through Jiro's whole life.
I was hoping people would
Like
be
when
able to
he's a
put
boy.
that together. I saw her
Yeah.
later in the movie, you know, grown
no, they
up
said
more,
directly
grown
in the
up more,
movie.
and I was like, oh, that's who that is. And then, like,
To be fair,
4 or 5 minutes later, oh, you're that person. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
who
to be
else?
fair,
I
all
mean,
the
come
main
on, think of the
girls
plot. Who
look the
else
same.
would be here? Who else would be here? Think of the
She
plot.
has the Ghibli face. She has to be the
has
main
the
character.
Ghibli face.
Spot the main character.
Oh my god. So this movie, I would say it's definitely the best of all 3 of these movies. Definitely by a long shot.
Yeah, it had Miyazaki, one of the two best
It
directors.
had Evangeline Man as the main character. He was doing the voice for it, and it was really weird because he's supposed to be like a late teenager, early 20s, and he sounds like this this fucking gruff like 40-year-old man in the Japanese dub. And I was like, okay, I guess this is how this is going to go. That's kind of one of my gripes, but my biggest gripe...
Well, the dub is fine.
My biggest gripe about this, at least for the sub version, I don't know how the sound production was done in the dub version, but the fact that they never used actual engine sounds in the movie really, really, really ground my gears in the wrong way. I did not like that whatsoever. I'm like, come on, at least
Yeah, well,
at least
I
give
guess
me the
the
sound of a
excuse-
radial engine firing up, because radial engines are awesome. Also, there was other moments in this movie that it's almost like the sound mixing was off. I mean, things that should have been silent and barely noticeable were like really loud and pronounced, and I couldn't really see it as any sort of dramatic effect. I really noticed it whenever he was away on his retreat after his...
No, man, they just normalized all the sounds.
Well, that's not what you do. It was whenever he went to that retreat where he met what's her face?
Well, the girl that he married.
Yes, the girl that he eventually marries and dies of tuberculosis.
What's her face?
Yes, what's her face?
T-girl. Naoko.
T-girl. Yes, Naoko. That's her
The T
name.
stands for tuberculosis.
Oh my God. So after his initial 1MF-10 fighter failed, that was the predecessor of the predecessor to the Zero. He went away on this little retreat to, kind of clear his mind and everything. And it's just, for that whole journey into that retreat, it's like, I really noticed it there where, as I said, things that should have been really quiet were really pronounced. And it almost felt kind of borderline incomplete. And I know it's kind of really... It's almost stupid for me to hang so hard on this, but as an audio guy, I shouldn't notice the sound, okay? The sound should feel right to me. And for whatever reason, in this part of this movie, it did not feel right. And that could have been the version that I was watching. It could have... Who knows?
It might have been, because I didn't... Did you guys notice anything? Like, I watched the dub, so maybe that was a little different, but I didn't have any big complaints as far as sound.
The one complaint that I will stand by is I did not get to hear the orgasmic sound of a radial engine firing up, because radial aircraft engines. Instead, I just heard a of somebody. Doing it into a mic.
The Porco Rosso.
I mean,
Well,
Porco Rosso had real engine sounds.
Yeah, I think maybe they're kind of going for a different vibe for the sound, maybe because like he was the engineer, he wasn't the pilot, so the engine sound didn't matter to him.
I don't even think that's.
That's my excuse. It's my head canon.
I don't even
They're
think
like,
that's.
all right,
that's
it's more
good.
dreamlike.
I don't think that's a good excuse.
I agree. Ideally they would have had perfect engine sounds, but I don't think it's like the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. It's not, because
that's like a nitpick. It's not like the movie's half as good now.
I did say it was a nitpick. I did agree to that.
Yeah.
But I did like the whole story, going through basically his life and his shortfalls and his mistakes coming up to, of course, because nothing ever comes out perfect the first time, but the eventual realization of the Japanese Zero and everything, and him dreaming about that famous aircraft designer in Italy. What's his name? Let me find this.
Oh boy,
Caproni. Caproni. Yes,
Giovanni
that's his name.
Caproni.
Yes, Caproni.
Chabroni.
And it was really nicely presented on that front. It's just
Was Mercedes was an aircraft manufacturer first, right? That's the one I'm thinking of.
Mercedes.
I know BMW does a lot of aircraft engines because they're an engine company.
Yeah, I think
Company
Mercedes
second.
did start out as an aircraft engine company.
Yeah, Lamborghini started as farming equipment.
That's crazy. I did not know that, actually.
It's still farming equipment. You farm females now.
And then
But-
he thought that Enzo
Also-
Ferrari was doing a shit job at making a good car, and Ferrari was like, well, you fucking do it then. So he did.
Also, there was something else that kind of bugged me. It's nothing against the anime in itself. It's just I really like the whole technology and the technological aspect around World War II. Whenever they went to the Junkers plant in Dessau, Germany, I was really hoping that I would see something other than a motherfucking G-38. I was really, 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 really hoping to at least see a Ju-52 or a Ju-88. But, of course, no.
Yes, these mean things to me.
The Ju-52, if you tune back to the Izetta episode, I very clearly said, holy shit, that's a Ju-52. It's if you look at it and you don't know a lot about
Hey,
planes,
editor, like, cut in a quote from that episode right there.
Oh my god, you're asking too much of me.
Make sure you put on, like, staticky effects so it's like it's from the past.
You're asking
Do
too
it.
much of me.
Oh, wow,
there.
now I remember when you did that.
You're asking too much of me there. But no, the Ju-52, the people that don't know a lot about aircraft and at least have been to maybe one aircraft museum, it's like the German equivalent of an old Ford tri-motor. It's a triple-engine plane, and it was mainly used for cargo and troop transport. By the time World War II broke out, it was kind of obsolete. It was really slow and not really maneuverable. They did kind of muck around with using it as a mid-range bomber, but the bomber role was really filled by the Ju-88. So, but I was expecting more history porn from Junkers, and I just got this shitty G-38, and I was like, oh, come on. But you know, as I said, most of the things that I'm going to nitpick from this movie are going to be really minor, and they're just things that I would have liked to have seen a little bit differently. But of course, I understand if it's not going to quite live up to my expectations. But yeah, this is the clear this is the clear winner out of the three movies that were pretty much in the lineup.
Yep.
This time, this go around.
So, going around the horn, Sam, what are your thoughts?
I think as a biographical film, I thought it at first paced kind of okay, and then later, like the second half, it was kind of like there was so much going on.
They were skipping it. They were going pretty quick, actually.
Well,
at a certain
yeah,
point.
but I mean that's how biographical films are normally done. I'm just saying, like, I guess I wasn't
think
used to it.
the directing, if they had directed it better, like, I like to compare this one to Shogun Roku Rakugo Shinju, because like the directing in that film, or not film, that TV show
Anime
was like
or show.
basically it was like a masterpiece, and it let you know like the passing of time and all that really well, and this one didn't do it as perfectly as it could have, you know, because they're like all this time is passing in his life, like, you know, years and years, but you're not seeing you're not seeing like changing seasons all the time to represent it, or like his physical appearance doesn't really change much. And
You're not
like,
seeing
there's-
culture change around them?
Yeah, not as much. You do see like the airplane, like the technology change for all that, but like I like to a simple example is like the Harry Potter movie where like the tree changes colors.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a really cheap way to show the season.
There
or
was.
whatever.
I guess
I'm not
that's what
saying
I
they
was
should have
trying to
done
say.
that, but like
yeah, and I guess that's what I was
if
trying
they
to
had
say.
directed it differently, they could have shown it better.
There was little steps that
It was
could have been
good.
taken to kind of ease through each part, because it started.
I feel
in
like they wanted this to be longer because it was 2
Right.
hours, and it seems to me that Miyazaki wanted it to be longer, but they had to cut it down. So I'm guessing that's what happened, and like, you know, if he knew, you know, exactly how long it had to be or whatever, and he could perfectly do it, then I'm sure it would have been like more
Yeah.
tight. But
Yeah, because it
I'm
started.
guessing it was out of his hands a little bit. But
Right,
anyway.
and it actually it shows a lot of it in the documentary. But it started in 1918 and then ends in 1945. So it's like, and
yeah, and
the
you have
thing
2
about this-
hours for all that. So
right, and watching this documentary too, that we'll talk about in the next Ghibli episode, he even does go on to say stuff about like how hard it was for him to like do some of like the planes and stuff like that, because he's like, you know, he's very like anti-war, anti-violence, you know. He had very complex feelings is what he said about it, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So that might that might have something to do with, you know.
Well, and Jiro basically feels the same way because he's just trying to make these, you know, these idealistic, benevolent aircraft. You know, he doesn't want them to be weapons, but then, you know, he learns pretty quickly that that's guess who's paying for it.
And he and
it's
yeah,
the military.
And
so.
he did say that he related to Jiro in that way, which was kind of cool, I think.
Yeah,
but
yeah, like that's basically what's going on. So like, Japan is working with Germany to prepare for the next World War, and they're like working on their technology. And like what's happening is Japan is like behind in their technology. They're a poor country. They're, you know, Germany is like way more advanced than them, so they
have low
ideas.
resources because they're not doing such a great job in Manchuria yet. They haven't started stealing all those comfort women from Korea.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have enough comfort women,
but,
you know.
But as with biographical,
they haven't stuck enough babies on spikes outside Nanking.
As with biographical
Jesus
films like
Christ,
this, though,
Quokka.
as with biographical films like this, though, it was also met with, you know, other controversies as well. Like one thing being Miyazaki having trouble, you know, doing the planes and drawing them and stuff. There were political parties who criticized the film because
it might have been glorifying Imperial Japan a little bit.
See, I don't like that. Okay, it was meant to be a biographical look into this man's life. Okay, things should be portrayed or accurately, not actively.
Right.
They should be portrayed accurately, and
Also
nothing should be
actively.
censored or hidden.
Right.
So
that being said,
I think that they can go
Doesn't
shove
Japan
that up their
try
ass.
to do that though?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't they
that
try
guy
to, like,
had nothing
cover
to
up-
do
not
with
cover
all
up.
that terrible stuff.
right.
Directly.
And Miyazaki is.
I could be wrong. I don't
and-
know.
and-
Does Japan teach that in school? Do they teach like what they did during
Excuse
the
me.
war and all that?
No.
I don't know.
Because doesn't Germany teach that? They're like, here's what happened in the war, right?
They still don't even acknowledge that they did it
because
at
it's
all.
like shameful, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
in
'cause
Germany,
the culture
it's
is very much like that familial shame type of thing.
in Germany,
like
I
stuff that
believe
happened
it's
in your
against
past.
the law to deny anything that Hitler did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
are
the
very
full other
efficient.
side of crazy.
So to finish my point, that being said, Miyazaki, you know, being pretty liberal as he is, he still defended what he did and said, you know, the Zero plane represented one of the few things that Japan should be proud of because it was a very formidable machine and very formidable people piloted them. So, you know, he still defended what he did and defended the fact that
the
main
Japanese Zero, when it was introduced, was like miles ahead of anything else that the Allies had, and it was an excellent fighter plane. And up
Right.
until 1943, I believe it was, whenever the Allies finally caught up and the Zero was finally starting to get it wasn't really outpaced, but the Allies were fighting it on even ground. And then
Right.
as the years progressed and they made more modifications to their current fighter aircraft,
Right.
the gap got wider in the Allies' favor, and that's why the
war could have been
Zero
decided.
aircraft turned into a kamikaze aircraft.
Right. So, I mean, even though he himself had trouble drawing the planes and doing it, he still defended what he did, and he defended Jiro because they were mad that the film's main protagonist was a warplane engineer, and it's like what Nick said. It was like, no, he just wanted to build. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Jiro himself, of course, didn't want them to be used for war, but that's what he did, and that's what he was good at. You know what I mean? It's almost like Hattori Hanzo in Kill Bill. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to make swords anymore, but he makes
and also
he makes
what
one more.
Well,
his
hell, even-
perception of the war may not have been necessarily a full understanding.
Well, hell,
of what
even at the beginning
the
of the
Imperial
movie,
forces were doing.
even at the beginning of the movie, he's talking to Caproni in his dream, and Caproni's like, I want to build these nice, beautiful planes, but even though I'm gonna have to end up designing instruments of war, it pretty much hints at that straight at the beginning. I don't really agree.
Yeah.
I don't
It
really
says it
agree
directly.
though with the statement that aircraft are ultimately always going to end up in a war purpose. I don't really agree with that. But I mean,
Well, that's how advancements are made in society when like war happens, because all the technology, it's this arms race. Everyone's competing. It's like the space race. It's like, oh, look at all the new stuff we got from that, and look at all the new stuff we got from
take some notes, Edwin
wars.
Starr. War
Military
is good for something.
Military innovation is why we're able to buy prepackaged soft cookies.
Yeah, I mean, and it only took a few million deaths. It's fine.
God.
Otherwise, all cookies before that were hard.
It only
if you bought them
only
prepackaged.
took sea rats. We only had to get through sea rats.
But yeah, so yeah, this movie is not about the pilots. Porco Rosso is the pilot. This one's about the engineer.
Pork chop rosso.
Right.
And I thought the directing in this was, as much as I complained about the directing, I actually really liked it. I liked the scenes where he was on the retreat, and
I agree.
Whenever
like in the I just love like the sliding doors. It's like such a cheat code. If you have a sliding Japanese door, it's like it always feels like a good scene.
I mean, like
it's
slam.
Was it shogi?
Yeah, like the tatami mats and the paper
The
doors or whatever.
It's,
Yeah.
Look, man.
I don't know if it's
like,
shogi. I could
okay,
be
this
talking
is a
my
really
ass.
good movie, and I can't, go normal critical on it. I have to be hypercritical about shit. So that's what I did. I was hypercritical. Because
Now can we get an anime about Hitler's Caller of the People?
what?
Nah.
The Volkswagen Bug.
No, isn't there the Springtime
Hitler's
for Hitler
Car of the
musical?
People.
Yeah, it's called Herbie Fully Loaded. Anyway. That being said,
Cars 3, Tokyo Drift. Movie of the game.
I
I
place
forgot
this
that
one.
movie even existed.
I place this one definitely above the other two. Thank you, Mac. You posted these
I liked
plain thingies.
a couple of things. I liked the characters in this one a lot more than the other movies. Characters were like, Arrietty's were a little flat, and then what's the one after it? Poppy
Well,
Hill.
Super flat.
I mean, with them
Poppy
being,
Hill
I
was-
mean,
was
with Arrietty being
getting
so
there. They were
tiny, of
getting there.
course they're going to be a little flat. But that's the way
Yeah,
Coco
especially
likes
when you
them.
step on them.
Poppy Hill was a bit like predictable characters.
Yeah, Poppy Hill is pretty basic, but at least it was more passable. And then this one is like most of the characters are pretty rounded. Like his boss, like the really short guy with the crazy haircut. I really like
That's
that
because
guy.
they're real people.
Yeah, they're
Dude, that
three-dimensional.
haircut, man. That haircut.
That guy was dope. I fucking loved him. Like my favorite.
Also,
quote
did we
from
mention
him,
that Poppy Hill was not directed by Hayao?
No, neither of the other two were.
No.
That's
Poppy
why
Hill
this one's better.
was his son Goro Miyazaki, and
Yeah.
Arrietty was
Was
Hiromasa
Evangeline.
Yanabayashi,
Yeah,
Oh,
but like I loved
who also did
the-
Marnie.
The boss was just like such a hard ass, and I fucking love. But then he's also like a softie. Like when he helped marry them, I thought that was great.
I
He's like,
I still couldn't get over that damn haircut, man. That haircut.
yeah.
Holy
He's
shit.
walking around. It's just like
and it's
bouncing
just
up
like
and
bouncing
down.
and foofing in the air, and I'm like, what is this shit?
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, good characters, good story, good themes, and good movie. I liked Wind Rises. What'd you guys think? Like, what'd you guys score it?
I put a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 maybe. I don't know.
I would
between.
probably
I give it like a 7.5,
I would probably give it a straight 8.
an 8. Yeah, I'm leaning toward 8. A strong 7 to a light 8.
Kind of after hearing about what like Nick talking about the directing, I'd probably give it an 8 actually.
I'd give it a straight 8.
Straight 8.
Yeah, like, and if you compare it to the other like really great Ghibli movies, like I gave like Princess Mononoke and Grave of the Fireflies and Spirited Away. I gave those like 9s, or high 9s or whatever. And this one's like a bit like a tier below those, I would say. Does that sound right? A little bit
sounds
below
right.
Totoro as well. Yeah, and then actually the other thing is like Only Yesterday. Would you say which one, Mac? Which one do you think you like more, Only Yesterday or The Wind Rises?
Probably The Wind Rises.
Okay, what about
That's tough. Yeah, I think Only Yesterday had higher highs but also lower lows.
Okay,
that
what
makes
about
sense.
what about Cam Shitikaka?
Only Yesterday is hard to compare to anything.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like,
Dead
the
ending,
best
though.
parts of it were some of the best parts of Ghibli, but then the worst parts were it was kind of slow. But anyway, different movie. So yeah, we have Wind Rises. We all gave it roughly an 8. Good ass movie, pretty good. We got the final 2 Ghibli movies after this are Tale of Princess Kaguya and When Marnie Was There, and then we're also going to discuss the documentary
The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness.
Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. And after that,
Yeah,
at
so
some
then
point we'll do
we'll
the
be
Lupin
done.
and Nausicaa movies, but those aren't technically Studio Ghibli. We'll probably do those like afterwards as like
After,
the
after.
So
prequel,
then-
you know.
So then, as we wrap up this Ghibli series, maybe fans and stuff, you can tweet at us at Anime Summit or comment on YouTube or join our Discord and yell at us, discord.animesummit.net,
Yes.
to tell us what kind of a series we should do next. Like Satoshi Kon?
No.
Momoro Hosoda?
Yes.
I would be more.
Wait, how do you
into-
not like
Makoto
Satoshi
Shinkai?
I would
Kon-san?
be. I would
What?
be more into Mamoru.
Because we already did.
Memories.
Mokoto Shinkai?
We already
I
did.
think we already did like a pitch on
Paprika
Perfect
and Tokyo
Blue, but-
Godfathers.
We've never talked about Paprika or
Perfect
Tokyo
Blue, I think.
Godfathers.
'Cause they're
Let's
not-
do Tokyo Godfathers for Christmas. Why don't we just do that?
Shut up.
Because that would make sense.
Shut up, Nick.
Or we could do Ping Pong the animation for Christmas. A fucking awesome.
All right, Mac, take
Chris,
us out
also
of
talked
here.
about
I mean,
multiple Mamoru
actually, if we're
Hosoda
doing
films, though,
okay,
too.
look, if we're doing anything for Christmas, we're doing freaking Torador. Shut the hell up. We've been Anime Summit podcast.
Torador, just because it
and
has a
Quokka
Christmas
has been,
episode.
dude.
Quokka
Nah,
has
man.
been a picky little
I'm telling
asshole,
ya.
and we are watching
Torador's
Torador
alright,
for
but-
Christmas because who doesn't love Taiga?
Why don't we just do Nadesco if that's like the stipulation? They got one good Christmas episode.
Because you
And-
look, man. Like, I know you love Nadesco, but you're gonna have to acknowledge it as your favorite anime ever before we give it more credit.
Some. Be honest with us. Just say it. Say it.
So we've been Anime Summit.
And on
Oh
that
my God.
bombshell, we've been the Anime Summit podcast. What the fuck?
Look forward to a one-off all about Korea
Yes.
soon-ish.
And subscribe to Anime Summit Extra, please.
Quokka's dating tips.
Bitch.
Okay.